So, Shane Burgos, PFL 3, April 14th, fighting the champ, but not the fight that you were originally going to get for your debut. That was Marlon Moraes back in November. I know you had to pull out with the injury. Just give us some insight onto what happened there.
Yeah, so basically it was an injury that happened in the beginning of camp, not in the very beginning, but a little bit into camp, and then it just progressively kept getting worse because of the weight cut. I mean, like everybody knows I'm a big featherweight, so for me to make that 145 cut, on top of having an injury, having to count all my calories and all that stuff, I just wasn't able to recover the right way, so it just kept getting worse, and then it made me have to reassess and think about it and be like, you know what, it's not going to be conducive to my performances to keep doing 45 in a season format. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have to do it again. I'm gonna have to do it 4 times in 8 months. It's grueling on the mind and on the body. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have to do this 55 thing. And I was like, you know what? It's gonna take a huge load off, and it has, man. It's nice. Like I'm a little bit less than a month out, and I'm focused more on performance instead of the scale. Usually, like for 45, my last month is like, all right, let's focus on the scale, which is fucking brutal. It gets so mundane and monotonous. So to focus on performance and being able to carb up and fucking eat food, it's awesome.
Now, you kind of covered one of my next questions in there with the reason for foregoing 145. Obviously, those back-to-back weight cuts are going to be just too stressful on the body and, like you said, on the mind. Are you closing the door on featherweight long term, or could you see yourself if you go to like the super fight division in future? Could you see yourself going back to 145?
Yeah, so I got asked this question a couple times. I'll never say never. Money talks, first of all, but right now it's closed just because I'm in this season for 155. So this year I'm fighting at 155. Next year that season's probably gonna be at 55 too. But the super fights there. If the money's right, possibly, but right now I'm just focused solely on 55.
Good stuff. Any disappointment in not getting that Moraes matchup just because he is a name, he's a former champ,
Yeah.
and obviously now he's at 145 and you've moved up.
Yeah. It sucked. I mean, having to pull out of any fight fucking sucks. I mean, especially when you're injured, you just got to sit back and watch the guys fight. It's a blow to your ego, and it blows. But yeah, like, it would have been a great opportunity. It would have been a great fight. It would have been a fun fight. I obviously saw myself winning the fight, so it feels like a missed opportunity. But you know, I mean, everything happens for a reason, and made me have to sit back and, like I said, assess some things and make the decision to do 55. So uh, it's all part of God's plan.
Well, moving forward, you do have the champ right out of the gate, Olivier Aubin-Mercier. Give us your thoughts on the matchup. And, do you kind of like getting the champ right out of the gate? Because in theory, on paper, that's the man to beat.
Yeah, 100%. I give me him when I'm fresh. I mean, every fight after this fight is going to be tough just because of the fact that they're so close together. So you give me the guy that won the season last time right off the bat when I'm fresh going into it. Yeah, that's best case scenario in my opinion.
And in terms of OAM and what he's done, I mean, he's kind of walked the path that you no doubt you would like to in parting ways with the UFC, coming in, winning it all. And just what are your thoughts on him as an opponent and what he's done so far?
Yeah, there's a solid opponent. I respect everything he's done. He's six fights in a row. He's won. He knows how to win. He's a good fighter, a good grappler, good wrestler. Got a knockout in his last fight, so I'm hoping that gives him more confidence in his hands. He wants to come and stand and bang with me. I don't think necessarily that's how the fight's going to go. I think he's going to be trying to take me down. But yeah, I'm excited for the matchup. I'm just excited for the fact that he's the guy that won this whole thing, and I get to get him right off the bat because I've been saying it. This is my world title fight. I'm treating it like it's the title fight. This guy that won the season last year, I'm telling him to bring the belt because I'm bringing it back home.
And I saw you said that on Twitter. It is basically a world title fight. Does that mindset just help? Like, if you go into this thinking of it as a world title fight, does that mindset help you?
100%. That's what. Yes. Yeah. I'm leaving no stone left unturned. I'm putting my all into this freaking camp. Everything goes like I thought I trained hard before, but man, this one I'm dumping myself into it. And then after I get this win, I'm gonna treat every fight after that like a title defense. So that's my mentality going into this.
When we look at the PFL season, there's a couple of factors, and one we've touched on is the schedule. I mean, it's no doubt nice to know that you've got those fights, but at the same time, you're making those weight cuts pretty close together. The other factor is the points and the finishes. Finishes get you points,
Yeah.
points get you into the playoffs and a better playoff position potentially. I mean, how do you approach that with that in mind? Do you sort of look for ways that you can finish the fight a little earlier, or you just let it come to you?
Yeah, it definitely incentivizes quick finishes. Obviously, a first round finish is the most points you can get. So there's 100% incentive in that, not just because of the points, but because I got to fight again soon. So I'm trying to get in there and get out of there. But whether I'm fighting 10 weeks after or I'm fighting 10 months after, I'm always trying to get in and get out. We don't get paid by the minute in there. We get paid per fight. So I'm trying to get the fuck out as quick as possible. But it definitely puts an emphasis on it. So yeah, I'm definitely looking for the finish as soon as the referee says go.
And the other factor here is there is $1 million purse at the end of the line in this.
Yes.
How much of a factor was that in your decision? Because you entered free agency as a big name, and I think a lot of people were surprised when you did jump over, but it's a huge opportunity, right?
It's huge. It's massive. Aside from the $1 million to win the whole thing, I'm my money per fight is phenomenal. I mean, I'm making way more money than in my. I mean, it takes about 4 UFC fights for me with the show and win money to make what I'm making for a PFL fight. So it was almost like a no brainer when it comes to the money. It was hard. It wasn't an easy decision, obviously, because I did love the UFC. I love fighting for the UFC. I loved the organization. I loved saying I was in the UFC. But then at the end of the day, I got to look at myself in the mirror. I got to look at my face, look my wife in the face and my kids, and tell them that this shit was worth it. And the money that I'm making now, it's gonna. There's no doubt this is gonna be worth it.
When you entered free agency, I think a few years ago, even, it was kind of, if you left the UFC, maybe there was Bellator, if you had a big name, maybe one championship. And now there seems to be more players and more money
Yeah.
out there in different destinations. I mean, how surprised were you when you saw what was on the table? And, did you enter free agency expecting to leave, or were you kind of thinking, hey, maybe I go back to the UFC?
No, I really did think I was gonna go back to the UFC and just make more money than I was making at that time, especially going out in 2 wins. But once I got I mean, we went back and forth a little bit with the PFL, like trying to get the deal right. And once we got the deal right, I was like, dude, there's no. It would be fucking disrespectful to my family to turn down this kind of opportunity. This is phenomenal money, and not only that, like I have no complaints right now about the PFL. Like the way they treat me, it's like it's more like a business partnership more so than me being a fighter just fighting for them. You know what I mean? Like we're kind of treated like independent contractors for the UFC. This feels different. It feels more personable. Like I can reach out to Don Davis or Pete Murray and all the guys that work for the PFL myself. So I got no complaints about the PFL. Full steam ahead.
Good to hear. Last one I'll kind of ask on that topic. You make the jump, the signing is announced. Dana White comes out a little bit later and says something almost kind of out of character for him. And he says, we made a mistake. We shouldn't have let him go. How much of that was a confidence boost for you?
Oh, that was huge, man. That's flattering to say the least. Then they called me after Hunter Campbell texted me too, and some of the other guys from the UFC. It was very flattering, and it was nice to be appreciated for the work that I put in for their organization. I mean, I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. I put on some great fights in the UFC, and to be appreciated for that was fucking awesome. Especially Dana doesn't usually give you props when you leave the organization. Usually doesn't say shit or he doesn't say the nicest things. So for him to go out of his way and do that when he didn't have to do that meant a lot to me. So yeah, definitely appreciative.
Well, that's awesome to see. Seems like you're in an excellent place. PFL seems to be going places as well. I mean, what are your
Yeah,
thoughts on there's a couple of things out there right now. Obviously, Jake Paul signed not too long ago, and now Francis Ngannou has come out and said the PFL is one of basically two
yeah.
destinations that he's narrowed it down for MMA. Just what are your thoughts overall on what the league is doing?
They're making big moves. They're making the necessary moves to be the number 2 promotion right now. Like it's clear, obviously the UFC is number 1. Bellator was number 2 for a while. I think the PFL has already surpassed that at this point, and I think the sky's the limit. I really think that they're going to be neck and neck with the UFC with the next couple of years, and that's why I jumped on too because I want to be part of that growth. I want to be part of the reason why they're blowing up. You know what I mean, everybody knows my fights to be exciting, and I can't wait to put those fights on and make the PFL even bigger with my performances.
Absolutely. And when Jake Paul signed, you kind of said, sign me up. I mean, how serious of an offer is that?
Oh, it's 100% serious, and that's no like shit talk or anything. Like I'll make stupid money if I fight Jake Paul. What does he fight at 85 or something like that? Dude, I'll happily put on 5 pounds or something like that and make that fight. That would be fucking awesome. But aside from me potentially fighting him, just he brings so much more attention and eyeballs to the organization. So the more eyes on the PFL, the more money I'm gonna make. So yeah, I'm all for it.
I kind of chuckled at that initially, but when you talk about bulking up, do you think you could get up there reasonably and still be
Easy,
effective?
100%. But like I said, that would be a one-off deal for that kind of fight. But I don't think that they'll do that right now. I don't think that it would be the smartest thing to do. But if they want to do it, I would happily do that.
What do you think of him coming in and bringing up the fighter advocate to the PFL and that side of things?
Yeah, I mean, if he's gonna advocate for the fighters and getting paid more, then I'm all for it, man. I'm team fighters. You know what I mean? Like this, you're not in this fucking sport for too long, and usually when you get out, guys don't have anything to show for it. I mean, they have like fucking videos and old fight shorts and gloves, but financially they don't have much to show for it. There's no retirement plan. There's nothing like that they could fall back on. So if he's gonna come in here and advocate for fighter pay and for that kind of shit, then I support that 100%. Like, no matter how you feel about Jake Paul, that's fucking awesome.
Well, it absolutely is. At least he's using his platform for something beneficial for the fighters.
Yeah.
Shane, appreciate the time today. I'm going to ask you one more before I let you go. Just give us your thoughts on this fight overall, and do you have a prediction for how this finishes up on the 14th?
And get my hand raised at the end of that night, April 14th. It'll be my night in the desert. Las Vegas, Nevada. Don't miss it, guys. It's going to be a fucking banger. I promise you, it's going to be violent. It's going to be everything you expect from a Shane Burgos fight is exactly what I plan to give on April 14th.
Awesome. Thanks very much for the time again. Best of luck on the 14th. Looking forward to it.
Have a go, man. Thank you.
Thanks, Shane. Best of luck.
Thank you.